Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Ponytails podcast. We interview Southwestern alumni. These are people who sold books door to door during their college summers. It is a blast, and as you can imagine, door to door stories come in all sorts of different ways, and it's hilarious some of the things we hear as well as inspiring. So hopefully you guys enjoy the show today. My guest is Dave Brown. Now, we've been super looking forward to this. Dave sold for 7 summers with the Cadillacs organization from 2001 to 2007, originally from San Antonio, Texas, and currently in Nashville. His favorite scroll from The Greatest Salesman in the World is number 3, I Will Persist Until I Succeed. He sold a total of 60 weeks, 7 summers, and 3 winters. He hit President's Club for 58 of those weeks and more Utley for 51 of those 60 weeks. Insane. In front of the pace setter for 45 of those weeks when it was just one winner. Oh, missed those times. And of course, his best summer ever was that amazing 18,700 unit summer. He is currently the Southwestern record holder for most customers in one summer with 1,130 customers, where over 1,000 of those were strong customers. His best week in customers was also 96, and he did that his second summer, his B summer. Dave is the founding partner of Southwestern Consulting, where he's trained and spoken to over 1,880 sales teams all over the world and is the #1 all-time producer at Southwestern Consulting. He has the largest organization in revenue in Southwestern Consulting for the last 6 years and counting, and he is responsible for over 55% of the total revenue at Southwestern Consulting. Insane. He was a 4-sport athlete and all-American volleyball player in college, where he went to at the university at Trinity University in Chicago, and is currently married to a 9-summer bookwoman, Emmy Brown, also known as Emmy Young, back in when she was selling. So when we come back, we'll be on with Dave, the legendary Dave Brown. Welcome to the show, Mr. Dave Brown.
Thanks for having me on this. I'm happy to be here, man.
God, it was so good to see you. I know I told you this before we started recording, but it's great to see you in person at the alumni reunion last week. By the way, by the time this airs, it would have already passed, but I just want to say happy birthday, early birthday. It's your birthday tomorrow, right?
It is, man. I'm in early 40s. Oh,
fourth floor. Let's go. So fun, man. Hey, I love having authors here. Having written a book myself and published a book, I know how difficult this is. I know the work, the dedication, the courage it takes to put your thoughts and heart out there. It's more than just some social media posts. This is like deep down your life, your experience, your best way to help the world, and wanting to share that is a courageous thing. So I'm always excited to talk about authors. Let's dive into the book right away, my guy. So let's just start out with this, the title. It's called Servant Selling, the Handbook for Closing More Deals and Giving Your Customers Exactly What They Need. If you guys are looking to it, it's coming out August 1st. And so make sure you just head over to servantselling.com and order the book yourself. So wanted to, yeah, absolutely. I'm always so happy to talk to authors and to promote books, man. I think books change lives, and I'm sure yours is going to change many lives. So let's dive in. Why this book? Why now? What kind of inspired you to do this in the first place? And walk us through kind of that journey of publishing a book.
Yeah, it's being in what I love about Southwestern and what we all went through with Southwestern Advantage, right? A lot of personal development. We were first exposed to it when we sold books, right? It's like you sat in on Dansmore's part, doing Mr. Mediocrity. You remember that first speech of like, man, this was amazing. And then he's talking about self-talk. He's talking about, making a schedule, following the system, being coachable. And it's like we all, I don't know if we know how much we were all like, just like a moth to a flame, man. I mean, we love anything that's going to help us. And the longer you're with Southwestern, the more you want to lean in and work on yourself and get better. And that was why we started Southwestern Consulting, was really to take that Southwestern message of being coachable, working hard, studying hard, all the stuff that we all know as like this alumni, this group of like ninja alumni that could do anything on the planet. And this book now, Servant Selling, is my best attempt at taking how Southwestern has sold for 160 years and in defining it and putting it into a version that everybody can be proud of. Because you all know, I mean, just doing this, or if you have a spouse that did this, or cousin or dad or mom or whatever, it's, Southwestern does not sell in the typical way. Whenever you think salespeople, right, Andres, it's like you get these sleazy, selfish, out for themselves. That's normally what this world perceives salespeople as. And I talk about this in the book. Salespeople are actually perceived as like the worst, one of the worst professions on the planet. Like they're out for, I mean, and I mean, we're slightly above politicians. I mean, we can't even, I mean, right there. And so it's like, that's not true sales. That is how a few people have been highlighted, unfortunately, in the media or in movies or whatever, that do it the wrong way. So servant selling, I mean, if I say the word servant, you think of all these good things. So sales can be something that you do with the person on the other side of the table, their needs, their wants, their desires, putting that ahead of your own whenever you're selling to them in the conversation that you're having. And that also doesn't just apply to a typical sales process, right? Like parents, we're selling our kids on stuff all the dang time. I mean, gosh, I couldn't get Dylan in the car this morning to take him to daycare. So here I am going, hey, buddy, do you want to open the door yourself, or do you want daddy to do it? Choice of two positives, right? So he gets to pick one. He's in control. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're all selling, whether it's in our family, at our church organizations that we're involved in, whatever, but putting the person that you are working with in that interaction, their desires ahead of your own. Because we can get really caught up in our own head whenever we're thinking about the quotas we need to hit, or this incentive trip we're trying to win, or whatever. I'm trying to win the argument. It's not about that, man. It's about the person that's over there. And that's why I think it's a counterintuitive approach to what most people think of sales. And that's why I wanted to write it. That was the inspiration. And I wanted to put the spotlight in this amazing 160-year-old organization that we've all been a part of, that sold the right way for so long.
Yeah. And I love that. First of all, I love this. And for people who like are listening, we don't do any research or anything before guests come on, because we believe in like that alumni reunion, like, oh, we both did this thing, even though we did it years apart, and it comes together. But I love that you're saying this. So many times on the podcast, we've talked about how the way that Southwestern teaches to sell is different. I've always mentioned this story where my wife, when I first told her that I was in sales for like 10 years, she goes, oh, you must be really good at convincing people or like manipulating people or whatever. I'm like, no, actually, that's not really, I wish I was, because then I'd be probably even more effective at sales. But the way that I was taught is more about helping people and being honest and transparent with them. And so I'm actually not good at convincing people as much as I'm good at communicating why things are important. And that's really what kind of the premise of Southwestern's belief system is. It's more about helping people who need what you have versus just trying to sell to every single person that comes across you, because then that's not good. So I love that. Now, when you were writing the book, what was the process like, as far as where did you first feel inspired to write this book, like, and why did you feel like it was important with the current climate in the business world of today versus like a book on recruiting or something like that?
Yes. Oh my God. It's, in those of you that get the book, I mean, if you humbly, I've got to ask, right? We're all book salespeople. Come on. But those of you that do pick it up at servantselling.com, you'll love how it opens, because it's actually a story from my third summer from 2003. And it was an epiphany of, I remember this family specifically by name, and I tell this whole story about Brian and Beverly, and I remember leaving that interaction not fully being transparent with them, Andres, like seriously, kind of maybe whenever they had a question that I couldn't answer, not going there, and then having this thought to myself in my head of going, well, kind of, that's what sales is kind of about, right? Like, shades of gray. You don't have to say everything. It's okay if you kind of talk over. And I remember going, I didn't feel right about it. Like it didn't sit right with me. And I even thought for a second, because these are just my thoughts, right? In being a salesperson, yeah, but you're not telling the truth. You're not lying. Maybe this is how everybody does it, right? This is how we all do it. Like, this is how everybody does it. It's like, but it didn't sit right. So it goes all the way back to then. It was the summer of 2003. It was in Ohio. And I remember it really hit me post-summer, me going back to those feelings. I had kind of changed a little bit and adapted that summer, but I didn't think as much about it. I just know I didn't want to feel like that again. And then I revisited after that summer, and I'm sitting in San Antonio. So yeah, you said I was from there. I was actually planning my part for GRS because I had done really good that summer. So Dan and the crew had asked me, hey, can you do a part at GRS? I was like, absolutely. And this is what came back to me was what I want to talk about. I could see the family, and it was a good name, right? It was one of those, you all know those power names, right? So like I wanted this name badly, and I might've stretched some things in order to get it, but I got it and it definitely worked. So when it came time, I wrote a part for that GRS of 2004, the Great Recruiter Seminar here in Nashville, about how you can be completely above board in integrity, be the thing, and still be a top producer. It's not either or. It's not, do I got to sacrifice some of my integrity around doing sales in order to be the best? No. And I wasn't going to sell like that anymore. And it was awesome. It actually was the thing that broke me loose. I did pretty well in the summer of 2004, and then other summers after that. And that is where it started. We started Southwestern Consulting in 2006, and this was like my dream, right? Me and a couple of good friends that did really well in Southwestern, just our dream to take these principles to the professional world. And we were doing conferences, like big professional sales training conferences, similar to sales school, like when we first heard Dan and all of that. And because we wanted to take it to the world. So I was always going to be writing about something that Southwestern taught me. And this seems to be the most appropriate. Instead of trying to take one piece of the sale, like your recruiting or leadership or whatever else, it was, I feel like I'm a complete and total product of Southwestern. I love this amazing company that we all has touched each one of our lives. That's why I've never left. I've been here for 23 years, and I'll be here for the next 77 or whatever. I'm going to be the first person to work at Southwestern for 100 years, really. And it's like that I can't, I wanted to try to capture as much of it I could. So the inspiration was all the way back to then, and then, man, let's write about it and let's practice it. So we've been talking about servant selling since we started Southwestern Consulting. So it's been a 16-year process of seeing if it fit, of seeing if this was it. Was this the thing? And the answer is absolutely yes. I mean, Southwestern is full of servant salespeople that care about the other person. So
yeah. I know. I love that. Now, as you were writing, and this happened to me when I was writing my book, where you just think it's going to be, you're thinking more of an approach of, hey, I'm going to help people. Hopefully people are able to see this my way. But at the end of it, my perspective, even on my own life, on my own experiences, had changed. It was almost like therapeutic. Did that happen to you when you were writing the book, where your attitude on some of the things that you thought about selling, or even the way that you sold itself as you were developing the book itself, something kind of gave you a new perspective on selling or business as you were writing the book?
What it was for me was, we worked with some phenomenal content editors. That's why I say this a lot, and I'll probably say it again in this episode. I really hope you're proud of it, South people, because one of the coolest things that happened was these content editors, I would share my best story, like, because we had a whole team of people that were making this thing good. Because I'm not a writer, I'm a sales guy and recruiter, and I'm not a writer. And so there's people that are way better at this than I am. So we just got a lot of help, and I would tell my best story. I would be like, no, this is the thing that I've been on stage, 1,800 times sharing with companies, and the guy would be sitting over there just looking at me, going, "That's it? That was like a 6." And I'm like, dude, that's all I got, brother. Like that's everything. So what the experience for me was going insanely deep and seeing how making the written words actually turn into something that was beautiful. That's where I grew, was like, Dave, you need to be better with this, and take this more. I need more emotion here. What were you feeling? Now applying that to 10 of your coaching clients, how have they made the same dang thing work in their lives, and how have you seen it to be proven, and what was their pain? What was their experience like? So I was hit just with a lot of, oh man, I never thought about it from that perspective. And thank you for taking me that much deeper and that much better. So again, whenever you all are going through the book, you will have so much relation. I bet those of you that are alumni, you have so much relation. Like, man, this is how it should be. This is how selling should be. Like we always should be doing it this way, because it's honoring the other person. I talk about how important it is to close, not because that's where you make your money, you get your commission. You close because you care about helping somebody make a decision. When you're selling to somebody, making decisions for humans is it's an emotional thing. A lot of humans don't like to make decisions. And so as a salesperson, if you put a decision in front of them and then you leave them undecided, it's actually the biggest disservice you could do, because then it's out in their head. Are they going to get to it? Am I not going to get to it? So all the time that you think, oh, this maybe this person that, I don't know if they're a yes or a no. Well, you probably did that to yourself because you didn't care about them enough to close them, right? We always say yeses are great, nos are great too. Just don't give me a maybe. And it's not because I don't need a maybe. It's because I want to honor you to help you make a decision one way or the other. If I'm bringing you something, it's like the biggest disservice ever not helping that out. So I talk about closing from that perspective, and that was really cool. I didn't like closing is caring. I didn't put a lot of that together until I started getting some feedback as people were reading some of the pre stuff. And like Dan Moore, right? He read the whole book and he was like, Dave, this is awesome. Whenever you have Dan tell you anything's awesome that you've produced, you just go, I'm in, bro. I'm in. Yeah. What do you want me to say about that? More. And so like DC and Dave Causer, some of the big dogs, Henry Bedford in our business, were just some great feedback. So I was having eurekas on like, wow, I didn't think that was going to be the part. So yeah.
Interesting. Isn't that wonderful how that happens where the part where you didn't expect to really touch people or impact people is the part that, that's amazing. Now, out of the philosophies that you write, I mean, I'm sure. By the way, I can't wait to get a copy myself. Just
I hope so, man.
You gotta send me a copy when it comes. You know what? I will buy 3 copies and just give it out to 2 people I know. There it is, right there. Like that's a beautiful cover. Beautiful cover on that.
Don't you like how the heart touches the word selling? Andres, do you see that?
It's so good.
The heart's in it. A heart's got to be in it. It's totally love that.
It's so good. I already have like 2 or 3 friends. I'm like, you guys need to read. They never sold books, but there's like, you should just consume this. But out of all the philosophies, I'm assuming you kind of talk a little bit in your mentioning the Southwestern process that I'm familiar with. So what was your favorite part or topic to have written about throughout the book that you did more excited about than anything else? If you can pick one. I know it's a tough question.
I can. I wish more people would do this, because part of the counterintuitive approach is actually, it's not counterintuitive. A lot of people teach this, but I think Southwestern teaches us how to do it in a really cool way, is enthusiasm. The importance of enthusiasm. It is, of course, enthusiasm. Everyone's attracted to it. It's like the larger, the more it's burning, the more you want to be a part of it. And people will come for miles to watch you burn, right? If you're enthusiastic about something. And that really hit me, because all of the crazy stuff we did with an incredible program, that door-to-door program, right? Executive exercises, right? That's execs doing that in the morning. That was just so you could be more enthusiastic. And I actually tracked it. That was a big thing for me to look back on each one of my days, because I'm one of those like try to get better every single day kind of people. And I didn't want it just to be a 1 summer or 2 summer thing. Like I wanted it to last for my entire career at Southwestern. That was some of the reasons why. You mentioned this in my intro. A lot of people didn't even know you could do this, but I sold 7 summers in 3 winters. I actually came back during December and sold books in December because I felt like my enthusiasm or my persistence had kind of died. So it was like I was going and using Southwestern as the entity to help get that back. I love that. I love that about this building and about this place, about all that we do. So in enthusiasm, the more that I go into companies and do trainings and teach people these principles, people think you're suspect when you're enthusiastic. They literally think something's wrong with you. Because it's not, or they go, okay, that's cool, but what's this guy up to, right? It's like, I wrote this down this morning. They'd go, it's threatening. Enthusiasm is threatening to people because they go, this is not how it's supposed to be. But yeah, it is. Like, we all want to be around that type of attitude. And if you're enthusiastic about what you're doing and the people that you're around and the games that you're playing in your life, your marriage, fill in the blank, right? Like that. We're attracted to that. So I love writing on that. And I think that is missing so much, whether it's a technical sale or leadership. Like leaders think they need to be this buttoned up, perfect. Sure, you need to be professional, but also be enthusiastic about helping this team get to a whole nother place. So that enthusiasm, man, it's important. It hit me big time whenever I was selling. And that was something that I was always trying to up. If you ever followed me when you're out there selling books, And there's a ton of people, hundreds that did. They felt it. Like that was, if that was one takeaway they got from me out there, I was the most enthusiastic person on the planet, and people bought because of it for sure. I think so.
That's so cool. I love that. And it's also the idea of not caring if people think you're being, too enthusiastic. I mean, that takes courage too, to just be like, hey, I'm gonna have enthusiasm for my sake,
Mhm.
regardless of what people think. But sometimes that's almost like the cool card that we have to lose at the beginning of the
Yes.
summer, right? It's just getting over yourself and not taking yourself so seriously that you can't just feel enthusiastic about where you are in life, because generally speaking, it's pretty solid, right? Regardless of where you are. Even if it's tough, it's a good place to
We're
be.
doing just fine.
Yeah.
Amen. All of us. We
Yeah.
live in this country. We are insanely
Yeah.
blessed. Just look around. A lot to be
Yeah.
enthusiastic about.
Yeah. And and it's your choice, right? There's also a lot to be sad about if you want to be, but and it's worth acknowledging, it's worth understanding, but you can still choose to be enthusiastic despite that. And that's the freedom that life brings to you. So that's awesome. Now,
Mhm.
when it comes to one of the things that I think you mentioned this before we started recording about your book was, or you know, you being super honest about it, even if it means losing the sale.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was such a huge thing to say, and I identify with that philosophy a ton. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think there's so many salespeople, especially Southwestern people, who uh and you alluded to this about the integrity part, is how can you get over that fact of losing the sale? Because there's so much pressure, especially if you work, maybe someone's listening to this and they work in a company where there's quotas and you really
Totally.
need to hit this quota or you're going to get fired or something. But being able to let go of that, what's your mentality and your thought process when knowing that if I tell the truth here, I'm going to lose the sale, and then just being okay with that? How do you approach that?
Yeah. It's I have found one, I do sleep better. That's a very general way of saying it, right? Like you don't have as much resentfulness or remorse about your tactics when you're out there, because again, there's a lot of this negative jargon about salespeople that's already out there. So you give yourself that permission. And then the next thing is, and this is some of the stuff I write about, if you can walk away from a sale because you just don't feel right about it, you're actually declaring abundance, because
Oh,
you're
yeah.
declaring that there's ton. You are making a stand and putting it down there. The man, I have so many people. Even if you haven't sold anybody, I get it, quotas and everything else that you got to hit, but you're in control now. And I'm walking away because I don't feel right about it. Right? I don't. You don't have to make up these benefits or try to do something or leave something out in order to do it. There's none of that. There's just what it is. And you know what? I don't feel right about this, or this person may not need what I'm offering. That's a big one, right? It's like, do you still try to move forward even if they don't need it? And I found a lot of calmness and peace, Andres, whenever, if I had those feelings, I would just say it in the sales presentation. I still do that to this day. I will say, you know what, John, it's like when we're selling coaching. This wasn't too long ago, not the most recent. I just told a guy, I go, I don't think you need coaching. Like, you got all these things in place, man. You have a phenomenal system. I mean, that person over there that supports you, like, I'm not feeling like you need it. And so I don't think we have anything else to say. And you know what he said? He goes, Dave, oh, I don't want to do this for me. I want to do this because I want to show my people that they need to do this.
Ooh.
So here I am trying to sell to this guy. I actually don't think he doesn't. He really didn't. I mean, he was tight. I mean, it was a guy that ran a great company. You know, I'll leave it all blank for whatever. But right here in Nashville, and he goes, but I want to show my people. And I was like, well, sweet, I'm gonna sign you up. And that was it. And that doesn't happen all the time, y'all.
Yeah.
But because I was willing to pull back and just speak exactly what I was feeling and saying, he actually just told me what it was. It was like, and I was just being honest because
Wow.
I didn't feel it. So it was really cool. Now there's been just as many of those where I've said that and they've said, sweet, have a good day. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, great. Who else should I talk to? Right.
Amazing. Yeah, and you know what the thing is with that is you earn their trust.
Totally.
You were looking out for them, and when they refer you to someone, even though they didn't buy, they'll say, "Hey, this is Dave, and you can trust him."
Mm-hmm.
They'll say it in their own words, but the
Yeah.
message they'll send is, "Hey, this guy is legit. He's honest. He's true, and when you talk to him, he'll let you know if you need him or not." like, how good of a referral do you need? Then you sit down with that person, and all of a sudden, it's not about, oh, is this shady sales guy kind of vibes? Is like they're trying to determine if that's you or not. All that's out the window, and now they're sitting down, listening to you talk about whatever you need or how are you trying to help them. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I speak directly to those emotions, man. That has happened more and more as I've been on this servant selling journey of finalizing the book and actually putting it on paper. If I'm feeling anxious or nervous, or like they think I'm out to get them or something, I'll just kind of stop and I'll say, hey, I'm getting a nervous feeling because I think you feel like I'm trying to talk you into something. So I just wanted to check in with you on that. Is there something between us that I just don't understand? And just let it go and just see what happens. It's so cool. And sometimes they go yes, and sometimes they go no, and sometimes they tell you where they're at. Like, I just got this text from my son. He's struggling in this and that, and it's like, oh, that's where you are. That's why I feel this distance in between us. And now it's not a sale. It's a connection conversation, which that's what I'm interested in. And that's the other thing, Andres. If you ask me what Southwestern taught us, we've all heard people buy from you because they like and trust you. There's a third component, which I think Southwestern does. They like and trust, and they connect with us. That's what Southwestern taught us to do, was connect with other humans in life. And yeah, if you do that, they're probably going to buy what you got or take a really good look at what you're offering, because everybody wants to be connected. Not everybody wants to be convinced, but they want to be connected.
Absolutely. It's so good, man. This is great. Now, what have you, let's just say from a practical standpoint, what have you noticed? Because I can imagine where this is going, but like when you were selling books, for example, and you had this epiphany your third summer, and then you went on to 2004, just to use this as an example, what did you notice with like your cancellation rates? I imagine they dropped completely because people didn't want to cancel, because you could leave the house going, they're for sure going to use that because they needed it. And so can you talk a little bit about that change in the post sale of being honest like that?
Yeah. And I still had cancellations. So let's be real clear. It still happened.
Yeah.
But they definitely went down. With as many customers as I had, they were still happening. But it was, totally dropping, and you being able to put your head held high in that territory. That's what I liked about it, to where you weren't thinking, come on. Some of you remember, anytime you were inside doing a demo in the door and somebody knocked at the door, the first thought for most of us was, crap, that's somebody down the road that was bringing their thing to cancel, or crap, I think the police were here.
Yeah,
right.
The police got called.
Your first thought wasn't, oh my God, that's more people. Oh, that's probably her sister that wants to buy as well. No, it was like, crap, what's going on? Why is somebody knocking on this door? When it's like, it's funny how that switches when we're in this house, when they didn't know we were coming, and we hear a knock inside their house, and we're the ones that get all anxious about it.
We're not interested.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dang it. So that's what I would say is just that big summer where I had that 1,130 customers, that I felt so good about who I was and what I was doing, and it was like this thing I could be just pride point of like, I'm doing good for this community. I'm doing good. I'm serving. I'm here helping. That's what I'm doing. If people come and find me, I sold to people at the laundromat on Sunday that summer on the rest. I sold 2 people at the laundromat, because you went to the laundromat, did your laundry, so you saw the normal people there. And I'm telling you not, my roommate saw it. Saw me signing people up on a set. It was awesome, because it's just, it's everywhere. It just goes everywhere with you, and you felt good about it. And you just couldn't wait to tell the next person about it. So yeah, my cancellation definitely dropped, but I felt better about who I was every day.
That's so good, man. That's so good. Now, okay, I'm listening to this. Sam, somebody listening to the podcast episode, who is the kind of person that would be the most attracted to this book? Like who needs this most? If I'm X person, I should stop right here, come back to the episode though, but pause right here, scroll down, hit the link below to servantselling.com and purchase this book right now. Who would that ideal person be?
It's a gamut, but let me speak directly to turnover is so rampant in this industry of sales. Like, people, they have these dreams of being their own boss and hitting their potential, becoming something they never become before. I do know more of your background just because I know you and your brother well, but I don't come from much, right? Like a lot of us, we don't come from much. So, small town, San Antonio, but small church. Dad was worship leader and just tons of love. But like, so much of this profession can break you out of like your whatever your family history has been to date. I mean, sales is one of the highest paid professions on the planet, and if you're doubting yourself, that's where the problem is. It's not about you, it's about the other person. If you're doubting yourself, it's because you haven't learned that sales is about serving, because sales is about thinking about the other person. If you're worried about what you're going to say in your sales talk, or you're going, oh crap, I haven't got this part of it done yet, so I'm not good with this, and you're thinking about getting out of the industry, you would be a perfect person for it. You can do this. You can do this. And if you're thinking about jumping, those of you that have family or members that just want more out of life, they don't want to be just, go through the motions of working a job that they're not excited about, this would be a great book for you. That top producer that wants to learn that next level in their life of selling and go, okay, I'm really good at selling whatever, financial planning or cars or whatever it is. And I want to put this aspect, I want to feel better about what I do. I want to get more referrals. I want to connect more with my customers. I mean, that would be a great one as well, because it gets into that. So it really is a gamut. But what hurts me the most is when people give sales a try. And it's like, there's no giving this a try. You got to go all in. And if you believe that it's about getting into a product, getting into a business where it actually is helping, and so many of the great products on this planet that we can sell help so much, go do that and think about the other person that you're helping. It doesn't matter sometimes what you're going to say. You don't have to worry about what the next words are. Just with enthusiasm, persistence, some of those principles I talk about, in servant selling, and Southwestern taught us forever.
So good. Oh man, I love that. So it's just that change of perspective that I think is not talked about, because that's another thing I thought was genius about this book, and kind of what you're accomplishing with it is there's so many books out there about how to improve your numbers tenfold in 6 months by Joe Schmo, and it's just some weird tactic. And look, I'm not saying that this stuff doesn't work or to discredit those authors, because if that's what's working for them,
sure,
congratulations. This is more of, hey, we can have, even at its core, it's you're a good person and it's okay to have a job in sales, right?
Yes.
And you're a good person and it's okay to want to help people with a sale, with a product, or with a service. And that's okay. And it doesn't make you a bad person to try to make a living from someone else buying what you're selling. That's totally fine.
Nothing happens till somebody buys something.
Exactly.
Anywhere.
And money has to get exchanged, but it's not about the money. It's not about the product, although, you want to make sure the product is good and ethical, but that's a different conversation. We're assuming you're already there selling something good and ethical. It's more about, how do I approach this whole conversation, this whole interaction in a way that's going to help me display how good a product can be to someone, because my mentality is on helping them, serving them. And that's huge, man. You're right. That is what Southwestern has been teaching. That's what Southwestern has been preaching. And the process of accomplishing that is highlighted in this book. So I'm super excited for people to go read it, and who need to hear that story, to need to hear that. Last question about the book before we jump into some stuff about Southwestern Consulting, and I'm sure we'll jump back to the book throughout the conversation. But in general, let's fast forward 5 years from now. What do you hope the book has accomplished in 5-10 years? Like, if you could look, even if you look in the crystal ball and have it your way, what's the ultimate mission of this whole project and this whole process of becoming an author and selling this book?
You nailed it. I talked about the crystal ball close in there, so that was pretty good. That's one of them. Yeah, one of the 12 that you can use to serve correctly. But with this, it's a way of doing it. And there's transactional sales, there's consultative sales, spin selling, like, all these other kinds of selling that's out there. I want it to be in that same conversation. What kind of a salesperson are you? Well, I'm a servant salesperson. Like, that's what I am. That's what I see this thing actually becoming, because Southwestern taught us how to be servant salespeople. So let's honor the rest of the population that's playing in this space of sales, with hundreds of thousands of professionals that are in it in our great country, and others, right? And all over the world. I think, I got so many international friends, and so do you through Southwestern. Like we've got friends in Estonia and
Yeah.
Lithuania and in, Czech Republic and London. I mean, I've got friends all over the place because it's great business. And you look at some of the kind of budding countries, right, that got their independence back recently in the last 20, 30 years. And you see that the Southwestern way of doing it in their country, that's what everyone's grabbing onto. And it's almost like if we could just hit like the great reset in America and in North America specifically, like our country, the United States, on sales is not about what you're trying to get. It's about what you can give. It's about how much you can help. Like you get paid on value. You don't get commission. You just get paid for the value you bring to the people you're visiting. Like that's what's so cool about this shift. Commission is a reflection of the good that you're doing for the world and how much pressure you're relieving off of people or how much of a solution that you give them. That's the beauty of sales. So in 5-10 years, man, it's something that people are naturally practicing, that they're going, yeah, this is the kind of salesperson that I am. There's companies that have salespeople all over the place, that this is the way that they do things. And that connection part that we talked about, right? They like you, they trust you, and they're connected with you. It's just a normal part of it. Like I cannot wait to connect with the world. And that's what, that's what people are going to say, and that's what we're going to do. We're all going to be connected. We're going to talk about real stuff and vulnerable stuff and raw, and go deep into, what we're struggling with. If we're talking about a product that could help them, but we're going to just connect. So yeah, man, I've said that a lot, but I like it.
No, that's great. No, I like that. That's so good. And it's clear that you're very passionate. It's clear that you're very, it requires that kind of, dedication to this craft in order to make that change and make it noticeable. So I think that's cool. Just essentially creating a new category of salesperson. Well, not new to us because we know, but in the world of sales, that people can go, hey, I'm choosing to do it this way. This philosophy is the way to go. I love that.
Elevating the practice and the profession of sales worldwide.
And it's an art form, it's an art form to be able to achieve that. And even if people, like, I love that you touched on this at the beginning, where it's like you're selling not even a transactional from a standpoint of money, like when you're talking to your kids, when you're talking to your spouse, or when it doesn't always have to be right in a money thing. It can be a way of connecting with someone to have influence that can help, and that your skill and abilities can help others in that way.
Sometimes that's even a bigger sale than just trying to whatever product we're selling, right? I mean, come on, getting your kids to this place. I mean, we've all got some tough stuff with all the stuff that's going on in the world, and you have to sell them a certain way, or somebody else is going to sell them to their way.
Yeah,
it's like you better learn these things, parents and partners and everything else, because someone else is trying to use them as consumers as opposed to truly doing it the right way for them. So yeah, you better pick up these principles. It's not just a product. You nailed it. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, one more time, guys. If you want to go check out the book, go to servantselling.com. It's on the screen there, and it's also going to be in the description below. So just scroll down and tap on that. You can go get yourself a copy. And if you guys have questions, you can also reach out to Dave. He's on the social medias. We'll put all the stuff for contact information for Dave. You can go to his website and go check it out down below on the description notes of this episode.
Can we talk about on the rest of what you worked out something really cool for him. If they do a pre-order, what we give them?
Oh, yes.
Up.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about this. So that you're talking, there's a course. I'll let you handle this. So if you guys were with Ponytails, if you guys here, you go ahead.
No, I thought it was brilliant. You're like, hey, give them something if they get it here. So servantselling.com, it gives you all the pre-order information. Just let us know that you bought it. So servant selling is broken into 3 sections. We talk about the skills of servant selling, some of the motivational pieces, and then the systems part. So it's broken into 3 sections. We've created 3 courses on those 3 sections. And these courses are $100 courses that we have already sold to different groups and whole companies for them to integrate servant selling into their culture. But it's $300. If you just go buy it right now, do your pre-order, and let us know you bought it. So somehow, some way, it's very simple. We actually have a section of servantselling.com where you can submit your receipt. Let us know you bought it. You can actually put where you heard about it. If you put Ponytails in there, we'll just give you those courses. So they're awesome. It's got about 9 videos and discussion questions. Those of you that run a team, this will give you the next 7 or 8 sales meetings, like content just to do. And you can just sit back and go, sweet, all my people are learning this stuff. They're learning the way Southwestern sells. Watch what happens the next couple months in production. So if you're running a team, if you're selling, just let us know you got on the Ponytails podcast. We'll give you all of that coursework, those 3 courses for free. Just got to buy it before August 1st, man. Got to get it pretty quick.
Okay, so if you're listening to this, again, go check out the book. Let them message them back with the receipt saying, "Hi, I heard about this from Ponytails podcast."
Easy.
And
Upload.
you get $300 courses for free. That's, I mean, just go stop listening for just a second, come back to this and go do that right now, and then come back to this.
I would be honored, man. Thank you. Thank you. If you can help, I'm trying to sell 10,000 copies before August 1, 2023. So
let's do it.
Thank you so much. Book people out there in the world, I'm so grateful for you. So thankful.
And we'll get this out. We'll get this out as soon as we record. We'll bump you up in line so we can get some people ahead there. Now let's switch some gears, and again, we'll probably come back and reference the book anyway, because it's just naturally how it comes up sometimes. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about consulting, and how did you get in? How did you decide that that's what you wanted to do? I mean, because that's such a brilliant idea of saying, hey, Southwestern taught us this. How do we teach it to others? You were one of the founding partners. Can you walk me through the journey of how that went and how you went from, oh, let's try to start a consulting firm to now you have, I mean, it's over 100 coaches. I know for a fact, I mean, Will Metro is one of our sponsors. For you, we have a few episodes. We've had someone from Southwestern Consulting here on the show. We had Dana Potoff on here.
Oh, cool.
Brilliant. Omar Uribe has been on here. Yvette has been on here.
Of course.
Can you share about how that became so big and kind of the origins of Southwestern Consulting and what you guys are up to as a company now?
Yeah, man. 185 coaches now.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's even bigger. Holy cow.
Yeah, we got they're in 13, 14 countries. So they actually sit there. And I think we've sold in 31 countries this year. We've sold coaching in 31 different countries, which is really cool. Yeah, man, it's growing, and thank God it's growing, because these principles are helping these companies all over the place. And I mean, simple, I can't really take credit for it. Southwestern has such a cool culture. I mean, think about it. You go from your first summer, you're just this first year. In the second summer, you're a student manager. And how much training did you have? Well, not really much training. I just did it, right? I went out and did it. Yeah. And so when you become a student manager, then you're helping out with things like PCs on Sundays and, organizational meetings and Mr. Student Manager, hey, can you teach this part? Or Mrs. Student Manager, can you talk about this on a Sunday? It's almost like this great business pushes us to reach into ourselves to help other people and to go get addicted to this personal development space and speaking and training and consulting, right? And doing coaching for others. That's what I love about Southwestern and just this culture. So naturally, I had done well, and some of my other partners had done really good that we were starting this thing with. And they kept asking us, hey, can you share there, right? I talked about GRS earlier. Can you talk at GRS? Can you do a CD? So I've got a CD. Some of you might have listened to my advanced sales CD, right? How cool is that? They were the clearing for this for me, this great company. So why starting this arm of it? One, everybody, it's about promoting the Southwestern story and its company philosophies worldwide. If this whole world sold like Southwestern sold, or it just any of the practices with caring about other people, there's a reason why people stay here forever, right? I mean, we were at the party, Andres, you and I, just this past weekend for Dan Moore, who's been here for 49 years, y'all. And that's normal, right? You can't give it one more, Dan. One more? I'm just kidding. So 59 years. I mean, DC's been here for 50 years. Henry, my mentor, who really talk about starting consulting, he was the one that put us all together, Henry Bedford. I mean, he's been here for 50 years. So it's this is normal. I'm going to be here for 100. It's just doing this because we want everybody to know about this great place. And it's not so that we can get the recognition of, oh, look at us, look at the great organization we are and how cool of a company are we to work for. No, man, it's about treating people right. And if you use some of this stuff, you can treat your people right inside of your company will grow. So starting this was easy. It was it wasn't easy getting it going. We failed a lot, but it was so easy to keep our mission alive, promoting the Southwestern story and its company's philosophies to the professional world. We still say that in our creed, man. Every single time we get together as a company, 3 or more gathered, we read the creed just to kind of set the tone for the business. And that is the first line that we are reading every single time. So it's just promoting that. It makes it pretty easy. Like you could get on board with that, right? It's like we all could. We just wanted to be the ones to do it. And thank God for Henry putting us all together and saying, hey, I'll give you some runway, capital, right? Money to be able to do this. And we needed that help. And then you have something that keeps working if you do it for a long time.
But that's so, I mean, that's so unique. I wanted to pick your brain about it because it went from, there was like 3 or 4 of you guys when you first started to now 184. So was that always the vision to have 184, or has that vision changed and then evolved into this as you went along, or what
the
kind of
vision is to have 6,000, man. We actually created a spreadsheet back in 2008. I don't know if you those, I'm not a spreadsheet guy, y'all, but we went into triple letters. So you know that spreadsheets go A and then they go AA and then BB. Ever seen that? If you go far enough, we actually created a spreadsheet. And we still have this thing back in 2008 that has 6,000 coaches, this much revenue. This is all the countries we're in. So we're just getting started, bro. We're nowhere near where we're supposed to be going. So
wow.
Yeah.
So this has been the vision all along. And how do you execute? I mean, because you guys had to navigate through the '08 crisis and the pandemic. And so, you know, that takes quite a bit of leadership. And so could you share some wisdom on some of those philosophies that kind of carried you guys through and have allowed you to kind of overcome despite the outside uncontrollables?
Yeah, I love what Southwestern taught us. I mean, the answer lies behind the next door. We eat problems for breakfast, right? No means next. I mean, I'm serious. I'm not just saying this to spurt off some things that you all know that they taught us in sales school. That's literally the philosophy we had for all of this. I mean, 2008, 2009. I mean, it sucked for a lot of people, but it was just like people are buying stuff somewhere. It doesn't. We change our key industries back before that. I think 60 or 70% of our business was real estate and mortgage in 2006 and 2007.
Sure.
And when 2008 happened, we had to pivot. And then similarly to just what went down, we did 99% of our meetings where we sold our coaching was face-to-face. And then it was virtual. And then it's like, well, how do you control a room full of people virtually and close them for coaching and do this? I don't know. But you know what I do know? I'm going to try it. I'm going to go out and try it. I'm going to test it. I'm going to try to figure this out. I mean, we just dove in. I did a virtual workshop 2 weeks after everything got shut down on April 1st, 2020. I had no clue what I was doing on this, but I was doing it with enthusiasm. I was excited about it and signed up a couple of people for coaching. There it is. It just has to happen once, man. This world is so easy. It's not like it's never been done. It's only never been done until somebody does it. So you just don't give up. I wish it was more complicated than that, man. Navigating through leaderships. Of course, you need to be a unified front, but the biggest thing is just going to work. Don't get caught up in the noise, right? Territory is territory. Like the dang news is the news. So just whatever. So we'll just keep calling on people. People got to keep doing business. People got to keep moving. And it changed our business. We are now, I told you, we were 99% face-to-face before that. We are now about probably 65-35 with face-to-face, back to face-to-face, 60 to 65%, and 35 is virtual. And we're able to touch way more people than we ever could. We're able to do workshops in New Zealand now, which we would have had to fly there in the past. It's not we had to set it up. I did a workshop in South Africa, Johannesburg, a couple of weeks ago, signed up 4 people from an ex-book friend named Mike. Yeah, so there's just it's awesome, man. It has expanded our way of doing things, which is so the Southwestern way. Southwestern did the same thing, right? I'm sure you had your Southwestern people in here talking about the pandemic. It's like, I don't know, let's adjust. Go figure it out.
Yeah.
Problems for breakfast.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool that's something we were taught. Yeah. And one question kind of concerning, relating to your coaching business. What is the most common thing that you've noticed or obstacle? I mean, I'm sure there's tons of different reasons why people aren't producing at the level that they should be, but you've met so many professionals in so many different industries, is there a couple of things or just one thing that kind of combines them all that is like the most like common mistakes or misconceptions that salespeople have that you've met across, you know what I'm asking? As in, like, what is the most common error people are making outside of the Southwestern world that you've helped them with or that you've learned to coach people on?
And that we hit on almost every time with all of our clients. It's, Southwestern again, your schedule is your lifeline.
Oh,
That
wow.
that is the part people do not understand, especially in sales. Because remember, if we're all selling, we don't necessarily have a boss seeing every move that we're making, or you're not being micromanaged. They just get so distracted. And we've talked about creative avoidance. We've talked about this for 40 years, right? In our organization, in Southwestern, forever. Like, it is a real thing. And most salespeople get so distracted, they never can focus on this or that. That is like the first thing we take everybody through in our coaching program, bro, is figuring out how to be proactive every week versus reactive, and they grow like crazy. So I know a lot of you mentioned Dane and Yvette and Sarah Jane and all these people that you're had on the podcast already and are going to have. I mean, they can verify this. That is, if you get your schedule worked out, anything's possible. I mean, so much of us are like just under the fire of like the most, loud. It's like the thing that's the loudest versus what's most important a lot of times. And that's where we start with everybody, man. It doesn't matter if you're selling insurance or helping somebody with, a house, does not matter, but schedule is your lifeline. Teaching people that if you break that and things start falling apart, and then you give them examples, see this, you were so focused, you had this, you were doing this, and then this distraction hit, and then you never got back to that. And you were wondering why you don't feel like this is a good week, because your intention was to complete that. But see how it was right there. You can come back to that. There's ways of doing it and strategies and all that stuff. So better believe it, man. There's definitely one thing.
That's amazing. I'm glad that you said that. Now, follow up on that question is, biggest piece of advice you'd give someone who typically 70% of the time they're pretty much on their schedule. Maybe they're pretty good about it, but then they fall off, and then they're pretty hard on themselves for getting off that routine or schedule that they're on. What's like the biggest piece of advice you'd give someone for getting back on the horse and shaking off the past, I guess, or the fail?
I mean, this happens in our coaching program all the time. We're working with somebody, and you just that becomes soft. You get softer in that arena, and then getting back on it. It's I say it this way: you really do honor the people you're around, your workforce, your family, the people that are most important to you, by having a schedule. And it may seem selfish at first, like, oh, you're doing your schedule for you. Yeah, you're doing it for you, but it's really cool when you start getting the habit of doing it and getting back on schedule. Like, I love what my student manager taught me. He said, for every minute you're off schedule, it takes 2 minutes to get back on schedule. I just love that kind of thought process, because it really does. Like, what's most important? So many times people spend their time on what isn't most important in their lives. So as coaches, we're constantly reminding them, hey, you said this was most important. Sure, making more money, doubling your income, getting more referrals. That's some of the technical stuff we're working with in coaching. But you remember, you talked about how you wanted more time with your 12-year-old daughter that you don't have. And because you're off schedule, who's been the one that's been, who's been missing out as a result? When was the last time you did a daddy-daughter date with Rachel? And the answer is, well, I haven't done that in 4 months. Well, tell me, I need you to sell me on why that's important. And then they're selling you on why it's important. It's like, okay, well, let's get it in there. Let's get back on track with the big rocks, right? With some of the things that are most important to you. And it's great when we define that early for people. And then that's what's great about accountability, right? You want to lose 20 pounds with a personal trainer. They keep bringing you back to the same stuff that you got to do. Get back to this accountability, which is what our whole business is based on, man, and what we need more than anything, what's that Southwestern taught us.
Yeah, it's not about being perfect. It's about failing forward.
Totally.
and just getting over it, and just, all right, it happened, move on, get back on the horse, get back on it. That's so yeah, that's so awesome, man. So cool.
Hey guys, Pedro Vega with Cardinal Senior Benefits. So one of the most important things in sales is being convicted in what you're selling and how you can help people. So being a broker, we talked about that in another ad, you have a lot of tools on your belt. Another thing is something called cash value. When I sit down with someone and they have coverage, I can usually get them a better deal because I'm a broker, but sometimes they have money in their previous policy that if I can get them approved, I can literally get them an extra $1,000, $1,500, $1,800 back in the mail on top of us helping their family with a better value. So it's kind of a win-win-win, and it makes your life a lot easier. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you very much.
Hey guys, Pat Roach here. Just wanted to say, when you think about building a career in real estate, is that a good thing for you? Is that not a good thing for you? You kind of have to learn, what's your style of selling? How do you like to sell? Do you like just like a row of houses where you're like, law of averages, I'm just going to get one? or two, and I'm just going to keep going all day? Or are you the kind that's like, I have pretty good people skills. If there's a row of houses, I want to sell them all. Those are the folks that we love because those people are very relational and intentional in their conversations and how they interact with people. You're the type of person that the cops never got called on you. That's a good sign. We build relationships, and those relationships build our business.
Do you mind if we go into some Southwestern stuff really quick? Some
I'm talking about Southwestern.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just interesting because one of my favorite things about this show is being able to show and display to people, whether they sold or not, that, yeah, we sold in different eras. And we had Jim Potts on here, and he sold in 1968. Some things were different, right? They hitchhiked to, the company for sales school, or he had a different HQ almost every other day, right? Some of those things are different, but the core experience, the core essence is, I was actually just saying this to my wife this weekend at the reunion. I was like, this is bananas because there's 800 people here. Some of these people are these older gentlemen, and by old, I mean, they sold in the 60s, 70s. And despite having general differences in our appearance or life experiences, we did this thing. And it just creates this highlight of connection immediately. And she goes, yeah, it's kind of straight. She didn't sell books, so she was really impressed by that connection that we can make. So let's wind the clocks back. You're sitting in college. How the heck did you first hear about this whole summer work program of going door to door selling books? Like, what's your origin story?
Yeah, Trinity University. So I'm actually very blessed. So Pat Roach, who he's probably been on the show. I think he does some advertising. He's a sponsor. Yes, he should be. I mean, he's all Southwestern, and I'm so thankful for him. Trinity, there was no kids that were selling on campus at Trinity University. He recruited out of Wheaton, which was 25, 30 minutes away, and that's where he still lives there and everything, and an alumni of Wheaton. And my volleyball coach, he was a younger coach, and thank God for this guy. I read about Lance in our book. We actually won the national championship in volleyball when we were in college. This coach had a lot to do with it. So it was very influential on my life. And his younger sister sold books in Indiana, and it was under Pat's organization somehow, like one of his people and stuff. So Lance didn't have anything to do during the summer. So because Pat was in Chicago, Trisha, who was that was the person that told Pat about it, said, hey, my brother's there. Why don't you take him out to dinner and see if he wants to sell? He's 23 years old because he was a younger coach, like I said, see if he wants to do it during the summer because he's just volleyball coaching. And so he came, and Lance, Coach Schrader, said to his whole volleyball team, he goes, I got this guy telling me about this summer internship thing tonight. He said he'll buy dinner for whoever wants to come. And so, college kid, come on, you would have done the same thing, Andres. What are we doing?
Free dinner? Where?
Yeah, I'm in. Let's go. I was doing it. I was ready. And so,
not ramen tonight. Yeah. What's that? 7? Okay. Yeah, I'll be there at 6:45.
Took us out. We went to a restaurant right down the road from Trinity, and there was like 5 of us there, 4 of us. And he told us about it, and I was the one that was like, yeah, seems cool. Maybe I can get another free dinner out of this dude. Yeah, I'll meet you again. So I'm just kidding. So I was actually interested because it sounded awesome. I was working as a Chili's waiter at the time, so I had a pretty good gig,
Nice.
Rocking 25 pieces of dinner every shift. I was good. I was all about it. Yes, I was rocking Chili's, but it seemed interesting. So he continued to meet with me, and come to find out, I was after the first couple of meetings, I told him no. But he kept sitting down with me and this was in like April, right before the summer started, because he really wanted another campus in Chicago that he didn't have to travel for to go do his like meetings and stuff. So Pat will tell you this. So I think I got a little extra time because he was like, you know what, if I can just get somebody on this campus, I can open it up, which is exactly what happened. So he stuck with me. He'll tell you the story. He didn't know if I was going to drive to Wheaton the morning everybody was leaving, because we were all going to meet at Wheaton, then drive together to Nashville. He had no clue. I mean, I signed up, filled everything out, and even had some thoughts of going like, am I going to do this thing, man? I got Chili's back at home because I was going to go back to San Antonio again and, waiter down there and then go back. And I was like, this sounds pretty awesome. So I just need to go. And so Pat was my student manager and my sales manager. He recruited me to sell books, and I am insanely grateful for him, man. Again, without fighting Southwestern, I don't think I'd be laying in a ditch somewhere, but I'm definitely not the person that I am. I wouldn't be married to my amazing wife with the kids that I have, with the principles that we get to teach them. None of my life would look the same. So grateful, Pat. Thank you so much for getting me here.
We'll make sure he hears that. Well, he will. He listens to every episode.
He hears it all the time, dude. If there's anybody that says, if anybody knows how thankful that for bringing me, I tell him all the dang time as much as I can.
Pat's awesome, man. Now, I everybody has a different reason for why they came out in the first place. I mean, some people will say the money, but eventually we get to like what really was the thing. Was for you? Can you recall that? Or was there a point where you went, you know what, this is definitely maybe Pat said something, or you recognized something in yourself. You said, I have to do this now. What was that thing?
Yeah, competition big thing for me. I mean, I wish it wasn't that, man. I remember
awesome. Love that.
Yeah, I had played a bunch of sports in high school. I say this not to go, oh, look at me. I was the Texas Athlete of the Year back when I was in high school, my senior year, which 2 people won it. 1 girl, 1 guy every year. Like, I fought for it. I couldn't wait because out of hundreds of thousands of athletes, I was that. And so I worked for it, played a bunch of sports, went in college. I played 4 sports in college, which you mentioned. So sports and like card games, Monopoly, me and my brother, I write about how important Monopoly was in our upbringing and stuff. And it really was our parents just giving us a game because they didn't want us to wake up at 4 a.m. and wake them up. There was so much to it. So it was the competition, man. I was like, so I get to go see how good I am against everyone else. I get to try to sell more. It was the next game, bro. Yeah. I wish that was where I was like, it's a game. I win games. I'm going to go play this game and
go kick ass. Now, in your first summer, I mean, we all know, and we'll get to that record-breaking summer, and we all know that this, you had a brilliant career specific of books. I mean, entire career, but book selling career. You had an incredible career as well. But when you get out there, did you get off to a fast start right away, or were you more one of those that you had to kind of figure it out? Everybody kind of has a different start. For you, how did it go when you first got out to the book field?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was all over the place that first day, right? I didn't get to follow my first day. I was the guy that said Dannemora, New York. So remember Lee McCroskey, who's a big name. I sold right next to his pot, the dirt pile story. The county. Yeah, so he was in Wayne County. I was the county, Grayson County, right next door. It's kind of cool. So I was going up there, and I remember somebody saying like, yeah, that's where his story was. Oh, cool. I'm going up there. So I was one that blew through territory. I mean, first day I go, there's no kids here in this whole one. I need another county. And then the next day, you follow that student manager, right? So my roommate, his name was Michael Johnson. He was quick. He was all over the place. Just kidding. That's a fun joke if you remember who Michael Johnson was. Same name. He was a Olympic sprinter, but same name, just different person. And he showed me how to do it. Showed me how to do all the pre-approach, everything else. And I remember watching him going, oh, got it. Going back, doing gravy. He worked it so perfectly. He just did this system, had a great day. I actually sold some time. Like I sold some stuff that day. He sold some stuff. I sold some stuff. He did it in my territory. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. So I did have a dumb, as we all have that first day. First week, okay. Second week, it was actually a PC, man. One of those Sunday personal conferences that changed my life. It was a guy with a gentleman named Toby, who is a 4-summer book fan, went to Wheaton, still a friend to this day. He said, because you know how it's 5 demos a goal period, right?
Yeah. So you do 30 demos a day. Yeah.
I go, Toby, this is easy, man. I'm in shape. I'm running. I'm jumping out of my car. This is easy. And he goes, oh, that's 5 demos a goal period. That's not for you, Dave. That's for everyone else. You're supposed to do 6. And then once you get to 6, I don't think 6 is the number. I think 7 a goal period is what you're actually supposed to be at. You're supposed to be at 42 demos a day. He said, that's not for you. Like, can you just try to get to 7 demos a goal period this week? It was literally like that. And thank God for the pace setter. I've got a bunch of them here.
Let's see them.
I keep a few on my person just so I can feel good about myself. Okay, just a couple, just like a few. They're hanging on my wall and stuff. It was one of the best gifts my wife ever gave me. I've got like 2002, 2004, 2001 pace setter all over the place. But on the pace setter that week, Julia Roberts, I kid you not, that was literally her name. She sold in our organization, different than the famous one, but Julia Roberts, she was on the front of the pace setter. So somebody in our actual org for first years was on the front of the pace setter that second week. And so remember competition, right?
Oh yeah.
Toby gave me that great PC. I get the pace setter that later day and I'm like, her? So that was the third week is when I broke out, man. I had 71 customers for 501 units, which back 20 something years ago, you'll remember this, those of you that sold in the 80s, 90s, President's Club was only 500 units back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit 501 units with 71 customers that week, and that was it. Once this competitive dude saw his face on the front of that thing, I literally made I said I'm never going to be off of this thing. I'm going to be on the front of this every single week, which is why I have the record for most, for weeks out there. I was on the front of the pace setter 45 times because I was like,
wild.
This is I love this. Look at that recognition. I love it.
I'm proud of my 3. And that was all right. 45 times. All right. Yeah. Woo-hoo. But it is pretty cool. And I think it's total bullshit that they do 4 people on it now. I mean, whatever. But it was such a thrill to be the one, because you never knew if you were going to be or not. I sold my first summer was with Hannah Reesberg. You probably remember Hannah. And we were exchanging back and forth for on that summer. It was so fun to me. But I remember that she was like, I remember thinking, we kind of had something similar happen. My third week, we had Katie Grassi, my third or fourth week, and she sold 901 units as a first year. And I said, what? If this girl can do it. And by the way, Katie's amazing. I'm not trying to, but I'm like, if this girl can do it, what the hell? And so then there was and then Hannah, it's so fun. But I remember that thrill on Sunday when you'd go to the Sunday meeting and you're like, I hope I was on it because I crushed it.
I did all that I could do. I would have beat you so bad.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun. So you bust loose, and obviously you come back. Now I want to dig into, because I know I'm keeping conscious every time. I want to talk a little bit about your trajectory. So the first summer, you did 7, right? 2004 was the one that you just like blew up. Walk me through kind of that growth. So the first summer was what ballpark, about how many total units?
As a soccer, I didn't need to sell a full summer. That was one of the things that I hated. I had to get back for training camp and stuff. So I sold 9 weeks my first summer and was number 1 when I left, but people passed me up. So I sold like 5,200, 5,300 units my first
That's
summer.
A pretty big summer. And we haven't had a 5,200 unit summer since my first summer, I think, actually, or in Southwestern. So
great.
Hannah, when she sold 6,000. So that's good. Then the next summer, what did you bump up to?
Yeah, that was my B summer. I got 10 weeks. I was able to literally convince my soccer coach that I still want to play and please don't kick me off the team. So he gave me one more. I went up to like 8,200, 8,300. It was like 3,000.
That's a bump. So that would have been 2002. 03, I'm assuming. Did you jump again in 03?
Yeah, I jumped again in 03. I got my 11 weeks, man. I mean, I got the full summer because it was awesome. We came out late. I got 11 and a half weeks that summer. I was so jacked about it because soccer was over. So I played 4 years of soccer, so I did not have to get back early. But I was, I had still some college left. So I actually went to college for 5 years. I squeezed 4 into 5.
Victory lap.
Yeah, I was a tough major. I was physical education, one of those hard majors.
Yeah.
So I needed to. Yeah.
Imagine.
It was. I didn't have soccer, but I had to do a shorter summer because I sold so many customers. So I had to. We were still delivering books back then, and I wasn't cashing out as much as I could. So I went up to 12.5, like 12.4, 12.5 in that.
Which is a jump.
That's jump. Another big jump. Mm-hmm.
And then you hit 18.7.
18.7. Yeah.
Okay.
I was jumping really.
So, question on this, because I'm just asking this more from you're a humble dude, so it's not I have to drag. Sometimes Southwestern people are going to be humble, so sometimes I have to drag this information out of them because they don't want to feel like they're like, oh look at. But I'm asking because it's tough to do those jumps. I mean, looking back on it, 5 to 8, 8 to 12, and then 12 to 18. Going into that summer where you like hit that 18,000 and you broke the record for customers, what was different? Like that's jump even from 12. So what did you decide was going to happen that summer in your head that allowed you to bust loose like that?
Southwestern taught us to set big goals, and I knew that I could break the company record. So I knew I had it in me, and if I didn't do it, then I would believe in some potential unmet out there. So that was it. I mean, Kaya Grady at the time, she was the current record holder, and it was 18.6 something. I can't remember what the record was. And I was like, I'm going to break this. I'm going to win. Right. Again, the competitive piece. But what else I loved about it was that first summer whenever I busted loose and everybody in our organization, because we had Julia in it and stuff. And then because I was hitting PC every week, what do you think all the managers started doing? It was awesome. Sure. And then Pat won the Excellence Award, which is the big award in Southwestern. It's like the #1 award for district sales managers, as some of you may know. And that was his first year to ever do it. He wasn't in the real running to do it. I mean, I'm sure if you ask him, he's like, oh, I knew I was going to, like, come on. Like, he was a newer DSM. And I was so proud of him. So it's like every time I leveled up, everybody around me did. Like after I was the #1 first year in 2001, like for the company, that was like, you finished #3, but that was because I didn't have as much time. I was like the guy on the Pacesetter a bunch. Peter Marshall, a good friend of mine to this day, in the Cadillacs, a smaller organization historically, he was #1. And then the next year after that, a guy named Sheridan McDonald was #1, who Peter recruited. So it's like we had this 4 or 5 year streak of the #1 people in, experienced and the first year stuff. And I loved that. So it was like, if I'm thinking big and if I'm going, I got way more in the tank, like I can blow this thing out, then everybody around me seemed to do the same dang thing. Like, oh, I found this under this. So this is just something I like to keep around.
I was going to ask you about that.
This is my business activity report, y'all. I just pulled this out. This is from 2004. Look at that, 2004. And I was looking at my stats. It's so simple. Right here, right? I'd sit downs, 24, 25, 25, 24. That's sit downs. Those aren't just demos. I was sitting down with 40, I was doing 40 to 40 something demos. Remember Toby from my first summer? I knew that if I could do 40 something demos, I could do most of those as sit downs. So it's like, how do you make the jump, man? It's easy. It's just knowing your numbers and going, all right, like I sold 256 units on a Wednesday my first summer. Listen to this. I worked till 1:17 in the morning, 1:17. And the reason why I got to this family's house at like 10:45, and they had a Kirby vacuum cleaner salesman sitting there. And he answered the door and he goes, come on in. Literally, a Kirby vacuum cleaner answered the door and said, come on in. And then the guy who I saw earlier, because I saw the mom, she said, come home when my husband's home. We love this stuff, obviously, because they had the Kirby guy there. Yeah. So I sat in for 2.5 hours. I sat in I learned from this dude, this Kirby vacuum. I had a great day. And I was sitting on a bunch of units. So I was like, I might as well just stay up and listen. I was taking notes, what he was doing. He'd made the sale. He sold him a vacuum. And then after, he goes, okay, your turn. And I sold him some books and CDs and went home by 1 o'clock and was awake by 6 a.m. So it's like, but 256 units in one day, that was what I averaged in 2004. So per day. So I was pushing, if your maximum earning potential, so many people don't ever figure out what their MEP is. If you've done it once, you can do it every day. So I'm a big believer in that. If you can sell 10, 20, 40 of whatever it is that you sell, and that was your biggest day ever, well, it's just a matter of time before you do that every day. You just have to believe it. It's all right up here, belief. So belief was the biggest thing in those jumps. And then loving on thinking, wow, when you jump, Dave, everyone around you jumps. So that was my big motivation for big old jumps.
Now, how did you, because that's easier said than done, that belief of like, if I did it once, I can do it again. What can you speak a little bit more? Maybe I'll dig into this a little bit. The mentality that you have behind that, like maybe dumb it down for me. Because to me, like my best day was 275 ever. Yeah. And in my head, I'm like, I could never get back to that again. I just thought it was a fluke. That's what I told myself, which is probably starts with self-talk anyway. But
dude, you just answered your own thing. Okay, but yeah.
But can you walk me through kind of how you convince yourself of that? Like how do you allow yourself to believe that?
It truly, I didn't believe it when it happened, just like you didn't. But I told myself, I do 250 units a day. I do 250 units a day. Dave, that's what you do. You do 250 units a day. That's it, baby. It's 250 units a day. It's just helping this many families. I was programming my mind all throughout. 250 became the new standard every single summer. Now, did I hit that every day? Heck no. You can tell in my production I didn't. My B summer, my C summer. But my D summer and the big one, when I needed it, I had convinced myself for it. And it was, 1,500 units a week, man. 250 times 6. That's it. I'm consistent. It was convincing myself.
So let's talk about this. I love picking brains of people who like break records because it's so cool to listen to. So when that fourth summer, week 1, you get off to a fast start. Boom. Yep. Like how, Was it more like, oh, yep, I knew this was going to happen? Or was there a point ever where you were like, holy cow, it's happening, it's happening? Like, you know what I'm saying? What was like what did it look like for you throughout that summer?
All year long. That 5th year in college, granted, I didn't have many courses to take, so I had a lot of time that 5th year. So I was prepping myself the entire time, man. I was just getting ready. I would do this in class, and I tell this story quite a bit. I talk about some on my CD. I'd be like, how old, do you have younger brothers and sisters? If they would say yes, I'd say, what grades are they in? Oh, they're a 10th grader and an 8th grader. I'd be like, perfect. This is actually what I'd show your family. So I would tell these people that I was meeting in college, and I was also telling them about the Southwestern program, but I would practice my prices. I would practice what I would be selling to them. I used to love asking families that I met all through the year, how old are your brothers and sisters? If you're an adult, do you have kids? What are this is actually what I would show you. So I was playing the game in my mind, getting ready with all of my stuff. It was normal, man. 2004, I was supposed to be there. I was in the perfect territory. Seriously. I wasn't. Pat just gave me whatever territory, but
sure.
In my mind, it was like, dude, everybody set this up for me. Pat set this up for me. The company, I literally convinced myself, a great company, they knew what I was going to do. So they literally handpicked exactly for me what was going to happen. So it's just going to happen. I just got to go out there and do it. So it's convincing, dude, it's self-talk, bro. Convincing yourself.
Where were you that summer?
I was in, funny enough, Grayson County, Texas, which is north of Dallas. I'm from San Antonio. So I was back home, but I was still like 6 hours away from where I grew up. Yeah.
And you were in Texas, and when you're gearing up for the summer, did you have any people who were skeptical, or how did you overcome that?
Oh yes, I had people tell me at sales school, like, don't shoot that high. I mean, I had district sales managers say that to me. Other people. Oh yeah. Like you're getting your hopes up, man. Like come on, cool, but.
You did 12 last summer. You're going to jump 6? Like, no way.
Yeah, another 6. I mean, you've already, it's like, yeah. And it wasn't because they were trying to cut me down. I think they were trying to protect me. Like, don't get your hopes up too high, buddy. Like, you know how many people have told me that they're going to break the record? People come through Southwestern. And to be honest, when I broke that record and still have it, who people would always put me with to PC, the kid that said they were going to break the record. So I kind of get it now because I talk to a lot of those kids that, I'm going to break your record. I'm going to break your record. I'm going to break your record. Few ever do. Some have, I mean, you talk about Peter now and Dustin, right? He was a year after me. So he was the guy that broke my record. He was my mentee, man. I mean, he was the guy that I coached along with Kaya. We were like his coaches, and then he goes and beats us both. It's like, it's awesome. But everyone said they wanted to do it. So yeah, there's a lot of people, man, told me no. And I remember my mom going, she was just, and not that she loves me. Mom loves me more than anything. She just didn't understand what we were doing. And it was like, oh honey, like, is that realistic? And I was like, how are you you're not supposed to ask me that. Like, you don't even know what I do. Like, I told her how much money we were making. She was like, is that even realistic? I was like, girl, that's not even a world we need to talk about. Yes.
Wow. And you just, I have so many questions about this. So as the summer's going along, everything's on schedule. Was there ever a point where you go, oh crap, maybe I won't hit this? Or was it like pretty solid? Like, how did you overcome those fears? Because it's not that they don't happen. They must have still have happened in your brain. You're like, oh, what if I still don't? But one question, how did you maintain from when you were low to get yourself back up? Or on the opposite hand, there's probably some complacency that also maybe could be dangerous to start happening. I mean, if you sold 18,000 units and you did it in however many weeks, at some point in the summer, you're thinking, okay, I've already hit 13,000. It's already my best summer ever. Maybe I can take off the gas a little bit. Like, how did you combat both the lows and the not too highs? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was more of, I had a tough day where it literally torrential downpoured one day. And I think I ended up selling like 100 something units, like 140. That day really jacked me up, Andres. Like, I remember, and to be honest, I don't know if I ever got back up to, I sold over 2,000 units one week that summer. I don't know. I didn't hit that number again. So like, that was the week 5 one I was showing you we were talking about with the business. I pulled that one out, and it's like, so, but no matter what, I may not be up there again, but no matter what, I did a lot of praying. I did a lot of praying out there. no matter what, I'm going to get 250 units a day. And I had this day. That's a fluke. I mean, Southwestern is so good at telling you to put everything behind you that happened in the past. The goal period is over. The day is over. Now, sometimes the day lasts a little longer than you want it to last, those bad days, but you have to do the hard work of getting it out of your mind. One day does not make or break my summer. It's my attitude, my work habits that are make or break my summer. If I have a good attitude and I work harder than anybody in the country, I will succeed. How many times do you think I told myself that over and over again? Like we said those stupid, like reoccurring self-talk thingies over and over, but did you actually believe it? I remember crying that next day, thinking that my whole summer was going to be off, but it was like, listen to your freaking words. Like I remember stopping on every one of those words and going, no, you got this. You got this. Like this is what you're supposed to be here. Remember, Dave, they planned this territory just for you. Remember, Pat took care of you. It's reminding. It's just remember. You just got to remember this stuff. That's it. So much of it is just what you do to yourself, man. The dumb game you're playing with yourself. So much of life.
And one of the things that when we had Ron on here and he sold a ton of books, and we had Sheridan on here and he sold a ton of books. A lot of the top producers that we've had, one of the things that's maybe more underrated and this is for the current book, it's out there trying to hit big goals, or if someone might be listening to this and they're going out for another summer and they're trying to figure out how to bust loose. And one of the things that all of them said, and you can agree with this or not, let me know what your thoughts on this is, not many people think about this kind of stuff, but preparation also not only included, getting to know your product, which is huge, and knowing your sales talk and your territory, all that stuff, but also post summer preparation. So a lot of I think it was Ron or Sheridan, one of them said like, hey, I already had my living situation set up before I left, so that when week 10 hit and all of a sudden my friends back home are going, hey, where are we living in the fall? They didn't have to worry. The preparation went beyond after hitting the goal. It wasn't just getting to your goal of hitting that big number, but like what happens after, and even planning the close, I guess, or at the end of it, planning how many days you were going to be at checkout, or planning by what month in September, what venue the fall ball or the, was parents recognition was going to be in the fall. Like they had all of that stuff figured out too. So they don't even have to worry about it when it's week 10 or 11 and it's coming to a close and they have to finish strong. Did you have some of that too? Or like, can you speak to like the towards the end as you're reaching to, getting to the end and like making sure you finish strong? How did you, engage in that?
Yeah, I was a little bit, I just got to tell you about the mentality, because I did this every summer, and we started this my second summer with my roommates, and it became something that became a thing forever. So every day when we got to execs, we would always say this: day one, week one, just getting started. Sitting on zero, just getting started, baby. Brand new territory. I don't have any names. Day one, week one, just getting started. Just get started. Monday. And I convinced myself every single day was the first day when we were selling books. Every single day, all the way through the summer.
Wow.
So even that week, that 14th week, 2004, me and my roommate still said that every single day. If there was something we did consistently, was tell each other week one, day one. If it was Saturday, didn't matter. That was Monday. Monday. We did that all the time. Just get started. Going to work in a Kia Rio. Can't wait. Just get started, baby. Nobody knows me out here. I don't know anybody else. It's great. I don't need any momentum. I don't need any names. Day one, week one, just getting started. So Interesting they say that. And some of you that are listening that have got pump up calls from me or whatever, you heard that. You know that, and you know who you are if you heard that, because I said that all the time under us. Like in my roommate who I sold, my roommate every single one of the summers, who's that successful firefighter downtown DC now and runs a whole team of amazing people that save people's lives. Like he'll say the same thing. Like we did not have any plan after. We were living so much in the present. Day one, week one, just getting started. Even to the point to where my roommate, Ben, you can ask him about it. He didn't even have his coursework. Like that big summer, I needed him, and he stayed out with me, and school started, and he just missed school that semester. He just didn't go and missed it because we didn't have any plans after that. But we were so in the present. So that was my strategy. Again, probably not the best for planning's sake, but it kept me in the moment. Just getting started. Every day was day one, sitting on zero. Another napkin.
And the planning is important, but sometimes it can be overtaken by the commitment. Because what it sounded like is despite there was not as much planning for post summer, you did have a lot of commitment in the philosophy and the approach that you were taking this summer with, and lo and behold, it worked. So
Oh,
1,130 customers later, you had it down. That's amazing. One more question about. I mean, I guess we can ask more, but another question about this is when you're approaching sales school, it starts and you get off to a fast start. We've heard this. How about like what was that feeling like when you were leaving back to checkout? So
yeah.
summer's over, week 14's done, and I'm assuming you felt like you left it all out there, or do you feel like there was more? Like did
I
you
left it
hit
all
that?
out. I left it
So
all out.
what was that like driving back to checkout and
Oh,
and,
it was
and
wonderful.
knowing that you accomplished this?
It was wonderful. It was, and here's the thing too. I don't know if many humans get to the point to where they really feel like they gave it their all. I would highly encourage you, whatever you do in your life that's important to you, just give it your all, because even if you don't hit the goal, and to be honest, I didn't know if I hit the goal on the rest. I was competing with Dustin that entire summer. So I had no clue if he was going to beat me or not. Lo and behold, turns out he beat me that summer. I still hit my goal of breaking the company record, but you know what his goal was? 20,000 units. Should have set my goal higher, right? So he hit his goal and I hit my goal, just was in the weird different part. So even then, but I knew I gave it my all. I did everything I could. So on that way back to Nashville, man, I mean, I just was just so grateful, so thankful. Like as humans, I don't know, whenever you do that and you give perfect effort, you go all out, you feel good. And I don't think anybody ever gets there as much anymore, which hurts my heart, disappoints me.
Yeah.
Southwestern teach you to do that.
Yep. Last question before we go into rapid fire and then ponytails. Since, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, there's tougher things in life later on than Southwestern, as you know, marriage, kids, who knows, whatever, health stuff. What have been some other notable things that you're proud of and to have accomplished after? I mean, it's a pretty proud thing to have accomplished and still hold records and still have this. But since then, what are some other like major milestones in your life that you look back and you go, that was another time I gave it my all. That was another time I gave it everything I had.
I mean, Mary and Emmy, she told me, and this is in the book, y'all, literally the handling objections chapter, which I call it dealing with doubts. She told me no for like 6 months. I will never date you. I'm not interested in a relationship. I mean, if I wouldn't have stuck with her and just Southwesternized, that, I mean, I wouldn't be with the most amazing woman on the planet that loves me every day, that I love more than anything. So yeah, just that persistence, stick with it. So that was a big success in my life. I mean, starting this business and having it be successful, it's really cool to have something you're proud of that helps the world. That's really awesome. I mean, we talked a little bit about that. Having friends that are 20-year friends that you want to vacation with and do life with, and then bring more people into that world. Another thing I love about Southwestern, this amazing alumni we have, when you go to battle with somebody, you have something in common. And because of the stakes of the battle, they have some of the fibrous stuff in their life because they completed it that you just want to be around. So I love bringing people back to our family of companies. What I get to do now at Southwestern Consulting is bring these amazing people. I mean, God, we're in the room with 800 of them, weren't we? There's amazing people last weekend. Come back. Like, just so we can be friends again. We can spend more time together. We're always going to be friends, but I want to be somebody that does life with each other. So I love that friendship and that community that we get to have. So I'm really proud of bringing people back to the family too. So.
Heck yeah. Speaking of which, shameless plug here. Anybody who's interested in going to our Bisler trip in October, it's like an alumni reunion trip. Come see us in the DR.
Nice. Yeah, it was just there in December. It's a beautiful place. Cool.
Yeah. And then last question for you. I swear it's the last one before rapid fire. Right now in your life, who are your biggest mentors? Like, who are the people that you look up to right now who motivate you, inspire you, that you're learning from to this day?
Biggest one has got to be my brother, Bobby Brown. Robert, he goes by in the professional world.
Did he sell?
saying no, he didn't.
Oh,
No,
okay.
and there's a reason why. I wish he would have. But entrepreneur has built his business at the same time we built ours. We own a lot of stuff together and invest in a lot of stuff together and sharpen the crap out of each other in an amazing way with our families and church starts and plants and our names are pretty much intertwined on every contract stuff that we do. So him for sure. Henry Bedford is my he's my my rock. Like, and a lot of you know him and hear about him. I was actually the student manager of Henry's son and daughter. So my B summer, they were on my team. So a lot of people don't know this. Hank Bedford, who's Henry IV, and then Khaki, who is his daughter. Hank's the oldest son, and then Kaki's the second one in the four. They were on my team. So I got to know Henry before he was chief executive officer that he is in the company. He was just an accountant for Great American at the time that was in business development. And so we talked every Sunday, and I became somebody that I really grabbed onto, but not because of his position. He wasn't in the position yet. He was just the dad of an executive that was the dad of these guys and gals. So, for 20 something years, man, he's sharpened me and taught me and poured into me. And then the last one is, I got a lot of dead mentors, right? Dale Carnegie, Og Mandino. I got a lot of the dead ones, but I'm talking about the living ones. Ben, so the one that you need to have on the show, he's a lieutenant in the Washington, D.C. Fire Department. He's also a farmer that does rotational agriculture. He does meat, and he's one of those guys that literally lives off the land, his family. He's an amazing man. That's the best and most calm dad ever. He's a great example of being a dad. His name's Ben Evers. So he's the guy that he's so separated from my life. He gives me some great perspective on, spiritual stuff and just the man that I want to be and coaching that I need. And then there's always Pat, who I always got to mention in this. Sure. Like, I would not be here. I wouldn't be here without Pat. I wouldn't know Ben. I know my brother. I would know Henry, but so much of that wears on me getting to Southwestern. So Pat Roach and yeah, man, those are probably my biggest mentors for sure. Or I left somebody out of.
Yeah, it's all right. There's so many people. It's on the spot too, so it's all good. Okay, so let's do some rapid fire questions and then a couple of ponytails. And we can call this an episode, my man. I guess. Okay, so number one, favorite territory that you sold, and I'm assuming it was probably Texas, but
no, it was Ohio. It was the 2003 summer where I really broke loose. I love Texas, man. I was around my Tex-Mex and everything. You would think, but we lived in this house that was, it was a second home to this lady. Her husband was a doctor for 40 years, a family practitioner. So they had all of his doctor crap in the basement, like old school, like jars full of stuff for 20 years. And it was awesome. You'd find stuff down there that was amazing. So that HQ and like that 2003 was just awesome. That was where I really broke loose. Didn't have very many run-ins with, blue light specials that year, which appreciate that. So 2003.
I love that. Okay. Next question. What was your favorite kind of turf? So big brick country, low income country, high income country, suburbia, more dense populated.
Yeah, more dense populated because I was such a customer fiend. If I didn't get 12 customers a day, I was not happy with my day. It was 12 to 18. If I got 10 customers, I was just like, I want to forget that day forever. Like, this is ridiculous. So I liked being able to get to more people. But remember, I didn't just sell to families with kids. Every single house I knocked on, I asked them to buy my products. It doesn't matter if you had kids, you had grandkids, you had nieces or nephews, or if you never even did anything with a kid. I met a hermit, literally a guy that called himself a hermit that hadn't seen another human being for 4 months. And I still asked the guy to buy something in that single wide trailer after a 2-mile driveway that I drove up. I asked them to buy something from me. That was one of the reasons why I had so many customers. Just simple.
They're right there. If anybody's writing anything down, I hope you've been writing things down this whole time. But if you've been writing anything down, it's that. Just ask. If you don't ask, they'll say no.
Yeah. And then what the heck are you doing there? It's weird. Whenever you're going door to door and you're not asking to buy your product, anybody, you're just walking around looking for kids. That's weird. Yeah. Ask them to buy something. If not, it's weird. It is. Ask them to buy. It's the whole context of your relationship. Why are you at their house?
I've
Bye.
never thought about it that way. That is the best. Write that down. That's
I know. That was
listening.
so
Whoever's listening,
strange.
you just
Like, what are you doing there? Yeah, of course, like it's $69.99. It's a health and wellness guide. I don't know why you need it, but do you want to buy it for your home to have it around?
$30. Just buy
Cookbook.
it.
I sold so many cookbooks, dude. Look at the cookbook sales. Cookbook sales for week 5, 22 cookbook sales. I sold crap to everybody. Come on.
That's so good. That is so good, man.
22 week 5. Yeah.
That's hilarious. All right, good. That works for me. What was your favorite advanced sales tape? I mean, we love yours, right? Then you had one with Dustin about the record breaking, but you listened to one.
Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson.
So good.
Selling to dads. I mean, I'm telling you, there was not very many people for me that I grabbed onto because I really did, call this egotistical kid. I really wanted to do it my way and figure out that. But Kevin, man, I couldn't help but listen to that guy. He was dealing with dad so well. I that part really stretched me in a good way.
Love that. What was your favorite breakfast spot?
Oh man, that 2000. There's a reason we like 2003, man. I kid you not. This lady's name was Flo, and she always did this with the coffee warmer. She was like, warmer. You need a warmer. Anybody need a warmer? Like the whole restaurant. And it was like this. She was the only one working this restaurant, and we were right next to a plant that had like third shift people. So people would come in after they were working, and they would be having beers at like 6 a.m. Like the whole bar was full of people that just got off their shift, like third shift. And she was so mean. This Flo was so mean. She was just like, didn't even care about our order, didn't care about us. Very good waitress though. Got things on time, hot, moving, this, and just all she ever said was warmer of your coffee. So just a warmer. Do you need a warmer? Like all warmer. So we just make so much fun of her to this day.
Please tell me that became like a self thing where like after every time you sold the customer, you're like warmer.
Warmer. We need a warmer. You need a warmer. Warmer. Like warmer. He looks across.
I'm warmer.
Yeah, warmer. It's so weird. So he said it all the time.
Oh, I love that.
Still say it. Like when we have coffee or hot drinks, still to each other. My brother even knows what it is now. Flo. Oh.
Oh, you gotta love those stories. Okay, last rapid fire question and then ponytails is what was your favorite or best follow day? Whether someone followed you and you had a blast, it was memorable, or you followed someone and it was memorable.
I can remember I had somebody behind me this day, and I had a weird feeling about this day in a really good way. I was in California. One of my favorite summers, man. If we talk about weather, I just gone from Texas summer to California. That's a different kind of heat, which is way more comfortable. I was in the Central Coast. I love wine to this day. So I was in wine country, like Santa Maria, Nipomo, right there, San Luis Obispo area. And I just had a good feeling about this day. And again, it was a Wednesday. Something about Wednesdays with me, man. I love the middle of the week. My favorite goal period was 12 to 3 too, because everybody else hated it. It's my favorite. Crushed it in that time. But this day, I couldn't miss. I mean, I couldn't miss. The first 20 people we talked to bought something from me. So the first 20, it was 20 customers in a row, bought strong customers, got my books, and I was cashing out at that time too. So these were full on customers, everything, people without kids. I even went to one of the gates and did an approach through the intercom. And she said, yeah, sounds good. Beep. And it opened. And then I came back and reapproached her again, sat down with her and sold her books on the other side of a gate after an intercom approach. And then we broke that streak whenever somebody didn't buy from me on the 21st, but then I got 3 more customers later that day. So it was a 23 customer strong day, 545 units. And the person following me was like, this isn't realistic. And it was good because it was somebody who really bolstered the story and like is a good storyteller. So they still tell it really well to this day.
That's hilarious.
So,
I love that. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. And then the winters, where did you sell in the winters?
Arizona. So I went back to the same territory. It was Green Valley south of there. There's a place called Rio Rico and Nogales down there on the south side of Tucson. If you keep going south, and I worked on my Spanish, man. It was awesome. I'm not good at it, but I sold through the kids and mi trabajo, and I still got a few little bits and pieces, but it was awesome. It was another muscle that I was working, and it was just fun, man. Selling. It was getting dark at like 6 p.m. So you'd set up stuff with families to have dinner with them and stuff, and it was late, and late night appointments were like 7:30, which was weird, but yeah, those winters were awesome. And it refreshed me. I needed to go cleanse myself, which is why I did the winters, because I think Southwestern always did that for me.
So cool, man.
Yeah.
That's the rapid fire questions. And then now it's time for the ponytail. So for people listening for the first time, this is the part we ask our guests to have save like one or two of their favorite stories, best stories, funniest stories, craziest stories, whatever for the show. So my friend, take it away. This is your ponytails time to tell us something from that you remember that is one of your top memories from Southwestern.
Oh gosh, so many phenomenal memories. And I got some stuff that I probably shouldn't say out loud too on the rest. I'm sure people have told you those stories over time. But
get those off the air sometimes now.
yeah,
to me, that's a blessing in disguise. That's like a compliment that we've gotten big enough where people go, maybe this one's I shouldn't. Because if you go back, some old ones or some good ones that people didn't think we were going to get this big, that they're out now. So,
that's what I loved about it. And I guess it was more of a thing that me and Ben, our roommates, that we did. So this is a quick one. We would always keep track of the funny things that happened to us. So on our pre-approach pads during the day, one of the games we played was keep track of the funny things that happened to you during the day. So all day long, you're just writing down funny stories. And then we would get home at night. I can't even remember all of them because we actually documented this stuff. And I have looked for these pre-approach pads in my house and I can't find them. Ben can't find them anywhere. But we laughed so much every day because all we did was just go, this happened, that happened. I tripped on this. I got stung on the inside of my nose once by a bee. It literally, I was smelling the flowers because I was like, stop and smell the flowers. So I stopped and smelled the flowers, sucked this bee up in my nose, and it stung me up in here. And I'm like, it's swelling. I'm trying to do my approach. So I remember laughing about that. It was bad. It was like, I had to pop this. I'm telling you, I'll never forget that. But like we would tell so many stories of just what happened to us during the day. So it was like those evenings from 10:30 to 11:30 went to bed eating. We ate hot dogs every night. So I'm one of those crazy ones that ate the exact same thing, 3 hot dogs, mayonnaise, mustard, and ketchup with Kudos and Ruffles cheddar and sour cream. I had 2 Kudos bars, big pile of Ruffles cheddar and sour cream. So we did the exact same thing every day for 3 summers, the same meal. At night when we were selling books, and except for Saturdays, we ordered pizzas. So that it would be more of a general, those evenings were so big for just letting off steam and just laughing and having some fun. And yeah, man, that I think was there's no real ones. I mean, I could think of one more, but I loved that.
Did you ever have a customer that like the biggest customer you ever sold to that you remember that was like this person bought 7 bags? I mean, I guess in your case, selling a bag wasn't that big of a deal, but
yeah, it wasn't that big. I had to in order to get the whole goal right. But there was a grandmother that I sat down with that I sold everything to. The whole thing. It was so cool how much she was into it. It was one of those like surprising things. I didn't even show her everything, but she caught a glimpse of my little slick with everything on it. And she said, I remember at the end, she goes, I want it all. And I was like, sweet. She actually corrected me. I wrote up like, she said, that's all it is for every single thing that you guys sell. It was like $580. And I was like, no. And she's like, well, yeah, mark that out. I want everything. And so she surprised me. She didn't even know about it. I was just getting books for like 3-year-old, 6-year-old. And then she said, I've got 2 sets of grandkids. So I need to do this twice. So I didn't do it. I was a horrible salesperson in that scenario. It was like the coolest thing. I could still see this house. I was so thankful. Gave her a massive hug. She gave me all this food and stuff. And yeah, it was so. Yeah,
and then like the Bill Zizzy. And then I went to got 200 units of the car and she gave me $900. So good. That's that story right there. I'll take 3 sets.
Yeah, I think that. Like,
oh man. So good. Well, hey, let's I think this is a good stopping point here. But before we wrap up, let me just recap everything we've talked about. Guys, servantselling.com to go get the book. If you go purchase the book through Ponytails and you submit a receipt, you let Dave know through his Instagram. Somehow let them know that you got it because of us. You're gonna get $100, $100, and $100 of free courses for yourself because from the book to go along with the book. So make sure you guys head over there right now, click on the link below servantselling.com. Dave's book's coming out. We are trying to help him get, I'm sure you're going to go crush it after August 1st, but before August 1st, we're trying to get some pre-sales to help launch this. And as an author myself, I can't tell you how much it means to someone who put their heart out there for that. So make sure you go check that out. If you guys want to hear more about how you can get coaching from Dave, make sure you go to his website. That will also be linked below. Or maybe you sold books, or you're a top salesperson in your organization and you're thinking, hey, you know what, I could help people by selling some coaching myself. How do I do that? And maybe join Dave's team or Will Metra's team, who we mentioned before. You can also go there as well. Click on the link below. If you have any other questions, make sure you message us, message Dave. We'll put a way to contact him there as well. If you need to, you can find his LinkedIn. And just say hello. If that's the case, maybe you sold with him or something like that, or maybe you followed him one of the days and you just want to reach out and say hello. But on that note, my name's Andres Gamboa. This has been the Ponytails Podcast. Dave, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're so good at this, Andres. Thank you for having me, man. Those questions were awesome. Brought a lot out of me. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Anytime. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.